Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Tour de France 24, episode 46. Is this going to be the last episode? It's possibly will, depending on how long some of these stages play out and what it is we need to do along the way. But we have a big mountain stage, stage 15 here. Massive stage. Lots of big climbs along the way, and an Arscat at the finish. Will be a very decisive moment. We're down to two contenders hanging in there behind us, a minute and a half and 2 minutes behind. We have a rest day coming after that, and then a sprint day, and then a very subtle, simple, punchy, and another subtle, simple, punchy stage, which then takes you into the 19, which is the last one. That's going to be tough because there's two sprints after that. So really, two stages will decide this race. First climb has seen a total of 31 riders escape off the peloton and an 8-minute advantage as we control the chase. Of the breakaway, only 2 riders are any contenders whatsoever, and they've pulled off the front, though it's starting to come back together just a bit in between the first and second climbs, and that is Enric Mas, 15th, 23 minutes behind, and Bilbao, 11th. He's been a regular breakaway rider in this tour. 15 and a half minutes down for him, though, and we've already pulled it back to 7 minutes here. We're probably going to work just a little bit harder on the next climb if the gap starts to go out relatively quick again. I don't mind this sort of gap. I don't want it to balloon out to 12, 15 minutes. I wouldn't mind if it gets out to about 10, though. First feeds being used on this second climb of the day as we approach the top. We've got about 1 kilometer left to go now, so we should have our whole team get there. UAE has gotten involved, so they are trying to control the gap. Gap now 7.5 minutes to the front, and of course that front group, splitting up, getting smaller. How small is it now, though? 10 at the front. Everybody else is split off, and most of them going backwards. But the tempo is not that high of the front group as they're trying to recover, which is allowing some of those riders at least to get back in contact, and we remain just 7 minutes behind. All 31 together at the front as they really took their foot off the gas. That's allowed us to get back within 6 minutes, and UAE is actually doing all the work. My 3 guys really just kind of feigning support as we go through to get the feed zone, and there's no recovery to happen except for the 3, and the 3 had already used their gels. Groves is not going to last terribly long, but I'm totally fine with that. I mean, we are down to 108, so some of the peloton has been left behind, and the gap has come down by another minute before we ever reach this penultimate, so it's a double climb, not a single. A little bit of a saddle situation at the top on this one. Let's get Groves his gel now. With a gap of 440, there's a decent chance that the breakaway will not be taking the stage today, but we'll see how it plays out over this climb. Groves gets dropped. In fact, 54 riders get dropped. It's suddenly down to 49. I'd like to save my 5 for the final climb as best as possible. Kung gets dropped. Now 43 left. Matthews gets dropped. And we are down to 5 now. Mohoric is going to have to gel up. We're 5 minutes behind, by the way. 5 minutes behind what? We'll find out at the top. Bilbao, though, is still at the front, so very much the one we are chasing for the time being. It'd be nice if Mohoric hangs on, but he does not. He might be able to get back in contact. Remember, we got a double climb here, though. Mohoric does get back in contact. 29 in the peloton. And it's suddenly down. The gap went out to 6 minutes as we go to begin the next climb. Let's go ahead and have Simon take over the protection duty. It's a short climb. I'd love to see Mohoric make it, but he will not. He's out. And he's definitely too far back now, I think. Yeah, well over a minute behind and solo. Okay. Definitely recovery phase. We're out to 7 minutes. I'm at the back of the group. and 7 behind the brake. But I said I was going to check on what's going on with the brake. Sure, okay. Pogacar's up the road. And Evenepoel and Bardet. We'll look at that as probably wasted energy. But as for the brake, it's all over the place. And the numbers are a lot smaller than they were. But the front group still contains Bilbao and his 15 minutes down. And right now he stands to gain, 7 minutes? 7 exactly. And a 21 off the front. Some of this, a good chunk of the 11 guys off the front are those breakaway riders. But we're going to take over here, scoot forward, and make sure this gap gets bridged. We're doing the chasing, so that means it's Roglic who's really doing the work on this as we nearly make contact. This is using a little bit of energy. We're chasing at a high tempo. And Pogacar's sitting towards the back of the group, and yet somebody in there is riding hard. All right, a lot of things just came back together. 41 riders, now just 6 minutes behind. Only 13 riders left off the front. Moss got dropped, but Bilbao is still in the front group. And suddenly the tempo is very different than it was. So Simon Yates, you're going to take over at tempo 70. And Bernal, you'll take over protection. Mohoric, 4 minutes down.
I'm coming to protect you.
Okay, gap steady at 6.5. Not a real threat to a guy 15.5 minutes down, who's been in the breakaway all day. But we're coming up on the base of the climb, final climb of the day. This will be that decisive moment with 39 riders more getting dropped before we've even hit the climb. Not sure how that's happened, but here we go.
And it was the Spanish
15.7K.
Joaquim Rodriguez who claimed a solo victory.
Oh, 15.6. Officially. 7.9%. I need to get my position up near the front. I got a teammate doing the work, so we're going to try to follow him.
Kian Otterbrooks already has pressure on his shoulders. However, with 4 top 10 GC placings on World Tour stage races in his first year as a pro,
Yates.
It's difficult not to be enthusiastic about this young talent. The advance of the lead group should be enough to carry it to the end.
We're going to go 80. As we go catch another rider from the break. The front group's all split up and Bilbao is no longer at the front. And we're just 540 down. And we've got other teams setting tempo, trying to make it hard, which is good for me because I got 3 teammates in a fairly small group. And right now, looking and feeling comfortable. Down to 13.7K though.
On the Tour de France and the Tour of Italy.
Dens, after doing work, has already been dropped. Moss is the first guy we're going to pick up of what's left off the front, which is just a dozen riders. So Bernal providing me protection, making the ride easier, technically. And Yates doing the work at the front with 2 other riders and sharing that load. Evenepoel there right next to me. Favorites are still here, so nothing's happened GC-wise besides the attack of 2 guys, including Moss, and Moss at 15th is coming back in contact right now. Also, we've also cut down.
10 kilometers to go for the lead group.
We've cut down the gap to the front, which Bilbao is back up in the front group, by the way. We've quickly cut it down to 4:10. Look at the profile. I'd break this climb probably into 3 parts. It's fairly consistently steep through most of the climb. Ramps up just a little bit at the beginning, but then it's a fairly steep, steady climb. It eases off for a while, and we're in that ease off phase. This is the longest of the ease off phases. It's going to ramp up again here in a little bit. Not after this switchback, but probably after the next switchback. But then it's going to get pretty steep again for a good while, and probably the longest stretch as we go to pull back the polka dots. Guillaume Martin. And now just 8 off the front and just 3.5 minutes. We're also down to 2 riders doing the work at the front. Danny Martinez and Yates. Martinez is now fading. Yates is going to take over. We're down to 26. Valter has been dropped. Yates, you are riding at an 80, right? That is not an 80 pace. You've let up a lot more than 80. Well, let's go with a 90.
I'll make a big effort on the relay.
That was really weird. Yates, we went from a guy with a 90 to a guy with an 80. The pace would have been less, but not in the way that it was. Hindley comes forward and
Another 7
Vlasov.
kilometers, and the head of the race still has a significant lead.
Yates really sat up significantly. I mean, he dropped to like a 20, 30 on the effort. Yates, again, struggling with tempo, which brings Vlasov forward. I don't mind having Vlasov doing the work. I think that's perfect. You've taken away the protection of the other rider. Vingegaard's been dropped. Vingegaard is out the back. Pidcock, Van Aert, O'Connor out the back. Let him finish the jump, and then I'll have him come get in position. We're halfway through the climb, by the way, down to 6.5 kilometers. Still chasing that front group, still 3.5 minutes behind, and it's Bilbao out
Breakaway
front.
increases its lead on the yellow jersey group.
Though I'm really not concerned about if he takes the stage or not, though I was kind of
Only
hoping for
5 kilometers left with the man in
a
front.
time bonus
If he manages to
today,
sustain
but
his
this is
effort,
really about the
he should
GC.
take
Down to 10
victory.
riders. Carapaz out the back. Carlos Rodriguez out the back. We catch another breakaway rider. $5K banner. 5K. Right now, I'm looking like I could definitely do the 5K, though. And I might be attacking the group here shortly. Hindley out the back. Thomas out the back. I think that's separation for Yates. Yeah, I don't agree.
Can't count on him any longer.
All right, let's go. Going solo. Bernal went out the back. We go past Johannesson, and I've got separation. End of the second phase as things flatten out for a little bit. We go inside 4
3
kilometers.
for the lead rider. He should win it.
Use a second to follow those guys. And we ride on from here. Bilbao still out front. Buitrago second on the road. And now we are second on the road. Vingegaard, who was dropped, was back in position. That's
The head of the
Buitrago
race is
following me.
1.5 minutes lead
8
from the
chasers,
yellow jersey.
almost a minute behind though. Almost a minute behind. I'm not sure I can go this tempo all the way to the finish though. This is the last steep section though, and it eases off, which is why I think I might be able to do a little bit more on this and keep
The
up.
yellow
We're
jersey
just a minute
group is
behind
1
Bilbao,
minute
by
from
the way.
head of the race.
5
Only
chasers.
2 kilometers for the lead rider.
They are just
He's
35
almost
seconds
won it.
behind. Final steep switchback. Race is going to get a lot easier from here, but it's 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers, and I do not have a lot left in the tank. Pogacar has dropped Vingegaard. Roglic also. Pogacar has one other rider, and I'm guessing it's Buitrago. That was who I was just riding with, right? Okay. Red gel to keep going. Red gel to keep going. 1.4K. 1.4K.
The red
1.3.
pennant is in sight.
Out of gel.
Another kilometer of climbing for the front of the race.
Final kilometer, but I'm also out of energy. 28 seconds behind Bilbao. I'm not going to catch him for the stage, but am I going to be able to hold off a hard-charging Pogacar? Vingegaard's 40 seconds further back. I think I'm going to hold them off just fine. That would be probably Buitrago with Vingegaard now, and then Roglic has one other with him. I've definitely got a gap on them, but Bilbao wins the stage. I've recovered some energy.
Reduce speed a bit.
Final 200
Otherwise
meters.
you'll hit the wall.
Final push. There you go. There you go. Second. Not a stage win, but second. And we hold off a gap to others. Adam Yates, 1.1K to left. Bernal, 1.4. They're going to have a good result. Simon Yates, 2.1. They'll have a good result compared to a lot of the GC riders. We passed the first test. One test remains. So Bilbao pulls back 1 minute of the 15 and a half. So not threatening at all. I finish at roughly a minute down. I do gain 6 seconds for a time bonus. Pogacar, I gain close to half a minute on him. And then I gain over a minute on Vingegaard. Buitrago rebounds for 4th place, but misses a podium on the day. Roglic, minute and a half gained. So that's going to put a pretty solid gap into those guys with only 1 mountain stage remaining. That's probably this tour just about taken care of, but we're still going to have to manage one more. It's a pretty big stage. Things could happen. Adam Yates was 10th on the stage at 420. Bernal was 451. Definitely a good place for them. It's going to help there overall. And Simon Yates was 725, so that's not a great time. It's going to hurt his position a bit, but I'm not even sure anymore where these guys are. It's been about a week since I recorded the previous, sitting down to wrap this one up. I've also managed to bring these last 3 stages to you. I changed my schedule in back-to-back-to-back fashion, so 3 days, 3 stages to wrap up the series, assuming that I'm going to hang on and take the win, and now it's definitely feeling that way. It's definitely not guaranteed, though. I'm just 2 minutes ahead of Pogacar. Super easy day so far. I'm riding a little bit harder than I normally do, and other teams have picked up the mantle now, thinking about theoretically probably the stage. So gap's down to 3.5 minutes, and it never went out by more than just over 4 minutes before these other teams stepped in to join me in the chasing. And we're already halfway through the stage. It's gonna be a snooze fest, but we do have one little climb there at the end, and as a decent puncher, I've got a good chance of maybe doing something with that final stage. But you get a bit of a flat stretch to the finish line after the descent, and that's going to be the tricky part. We know that I can generally, most of the time, descend really well and open up a gap, but can I hold it on the flat? Breakaway lost a rider, and the gap is down to just 1 minute, setting up a pretty straightforward victory coming from the bunch. As another front rider gets dropped. Now it's down to 6. Now it's down to 5. So yeah, the chase covered pretty hard. None of those guys are a threat anyway. But as we approach that final climb now with 22K left, we're going to suddenly change our approach from 70 effort, where we really haven't been doing much. We're going to put it up to a 100% effort to try to get these guys to the front. There's going to be the real base of the climb here in just a moment. We've already kind of started going up, but that's the official, and we're just behind those guys now. Peloton's shrinking very quickly. Pogacar's following it and trying to attack. Matthews, I've got Yates. Leave behind Mohoric. Leave behind everybody else. There's Roglic. There's Evenepoel.
Watch out. You'll soon have no more energy for an attack.
And we want to quickly recover that red bar to open up a gap, as we've all kind of left the field behind.
It's good news.
But Pogacar is 10 seconds behind. Roglic plus 3 others are 14. Gaudu is at least one of those guys. I'm just not sure I'm going to have that, and I don't. I've already been caught by Pogacar, but how hard has he had to chase to make that happen, to make that contact? Pidcock has been dropped. Now Evenepoel riding hard, 4.7.
Less than 4 kilometers. The descent is now over.
He's still riding flat out. Now he sits up. Vingegaard's here as well. So all the favorites are here. Good news is there's absolutely no time loss whatsoever. The bad news is it's going to be hard to sprint when these guys are pushing. I've got plenty of energy, but no sprint capability. Evenepoel attacks the group. Roglic responds for a moment. He doesn't have much left in the take. 1.6k to go. 1k to go. Catching Evenepoel is not going to be easier. He's out of energy. He is out of energy. I am out of energy. I am out of energy. I throw early. Way too early. I don't know if I won that. I might not have. I might not have won that. I might have my second straight second place finish. Either way, I'm going to get some time bonuses. And either way, this stage did not hurt us at all. And it hurt plenty of others. And it has worked out. I do get the stage victory just ahead of Pogacar. Vingegaard was third. Evenepoel fourth after he tried to attack and it failed. He ends up slipping to fourth. Roglic drops off right at the end, losing 8 seconds. Pidcock dropped off just before the end, getting to 16. Van der Poel attacks the chase group, gets 22. Skilmoza gets 32. Van Aert and the others are at 38. Mohoric was with them. Unfortunately, my teammates otherwise lost some time today without my control, without my support. So Adam Yates loses a minute 14, Simon Yates a minute 49, Bernal a minute 14 as well. Not great for that one, and just a couple points on this stage, so nothing to it in the KOM. 16 total riders off the front as we hit the first climb on this punchy stage, but it really ends up in a sprint type scenario. So 3 minutes they have pulled out in all, and all 16 riders have come together. Mohoric and Kung doing the chasing for the first chunk of this stage. I'm trying to save Groves and Matthews potentially for a sprint finish to help lead me out, as it looks like we're heading into a pretty generic day. I wouldn't mind if the breakaway takes a slight victory on this one, but with a little bit higher tempo that I've set, others have been inclined to join in, and so it looks like we're going to be in for another day of breakaway, not quite making it, which means we're going to be contending a stage. But these climbs are super easy, super simple, no drama expected. We've got 2 of them done. We've got 4 to go. Now we're past the feed zone, and full team still intact, still chasing, 2.5 minutes behind, and really no damage done yet. And we've done 4 of 6 climbs. As we go through another one, we just caught a breakaway rider. That was actually the hardest climb of the day, the only cat too. I didn't take it very seriously. Groves, maybe with a gel, could have held on, but too late for that now. Let's go ahead and tell him to use his gel now, though, just in case.
Okay.
That group actually still has a chance to regain contact. 59 of us here. And we need gels for the 2 guys doing the work. Okay, now 18k to go. Still 56 seconds behind. Just 30 riders chasing the front 9. And it looks like we are going to have to use some other guys. I'm less worried about winning a stage. I think Matthews might be capable. But we need to be able to chase these guys down. So we're going to up him to a 90. I want to save my guys that are in the GC position. I got 4 guys in the top 10. I don't want to throw that away on a silly stage such as this. Plus, I still have myself to be able to contend. And are also working hard. There you go. We pull that back together. And we are now the front of the field with 5.5k to go. That Art's here. It's going to be a difficult sprint to win. But there's a lot of tired legs. And there's only 22 riders, which is weird because it has not been that difficult of a day. Matthews gets dropped.
You can't count on him any longer.
Doing the command, I actually lost his wheel there for a second, but I'm still following behind at least gently. And as we come up on 1k on that banner, we're going to tell everybody to sprint. Final kilometer. I'm going to follow Van der Poel for a second. Oh, Van Aert is attacking. Almeida, give me room. Oh, I'm not going to come back at these guys. I thought it was not going to be a good one. Van Aert wins the stage. I thought it might be a hair too early. I figured 850, 900, not at about 975. For Van Aert, that was fine, and it looks like I could have gone about 950, 975, so I lose that one. No big deal, though. No time lost besides bonuses, and Van Aert picks up the majority of that, non-threatening. How funny they give separation. Bernal and the Yates brothers losing 7 seconds, along with most of the field, 7 at the front, but Pogacar, Roglic, Vingegaard, and myself are all in that front group. Pogacar gains 4 seconds today, but Van Aert and Vanderpool taking the 1-2 mitigates nearly all of the losses. 4 seconds is really minor. No fatigue at all heading into stage 19, though all of my teammates are a little bit fatigued at this point, and I would think a lot of the field is a lot more fatigued than that just based on our prior experiences. I do have a -2 on the bonus heading into the stage today, which is disappointing, especially with no fatigue whatsoever. Could make it a little more complicated. 3 Ars Cat climbs, the Alpe d'Huez, the finishing climb. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. One big final epic day, 166 kilometers. So it's a little bit in between that in your face, go get 'em stage with aggressiveness right from the get-go. All right, and we are off with a lot of riders attacking. Let's make sure that none of those are contenders. Mankies. Moss in 18th, Thomas in 19th, 40 minutes down. Vlasov in 12th at 23. We're good so far. Up the Col de Galibier, 19 kilometers, 5.7%, and it just gradually gets steeper and steeper as you go along. Already starting to bring back breakaway riders, and we're looking at 4.5 minutes down with Thomas coming over the top first. 3 imposing climbs had me so distracted that I forgot that there was even an additional climb of any sorts. I think that was on the descent. Yes, it was. Everybody back to full strength. And we're coming up on that feed zone. Kung and Groves both looking a little bit tired before we hit the feed zone. We're just 3 minutes down. Let's get a check in on what's at the front. And it's a very split up group. 17 riders left of the original break. Through the intermediate zone. 28.8 kilometers, super long climb. The total ascendancy over that 29K is 5.3%. However, it comes in waves and really is poorly marked. You climb, you descend, you climb, you descend. You're flat for a long time. Those should be 2 separate climbs themselves, and lumping it together into one huge climb, not quite accurate. Suddenly we're down to 64 riders though. Groves is out. Matthews and Kung need their gel, and Kung needs to take over in the work.
Okay.
We're going to be down to a pretty isolated... We're already down to a pretty isolated group. Just 38 riders remain. Mohoric now taking the turn in UAE, doing a lot of the work here. Has moved to the front. 4 minutes ahead. He's gained 4 minutes on this climb. He wasn't gaining time. We were 30 seconds behind him. Visma sat up right at the end of the climb. And we've got a ton of work to do to try to chase him down on the final climb. And we could be losing the tour right here because I got lazy. I mismanaged that for the last 2 kilometers of that climb, and it got out of hand real fast, but we're back down to 250. 13.8K, Alpe d'Huez, 8.2%. That's more like it. Eases off at the top. Bora and Visma putting their foot down, working hard, 28 riders. We'll set 80 tempo for these guys. I've got a lot left in the legs, but we've got half a climb to go. So I'm going to be solo, I can tell, for a lot of this, but let's let these guys do their thing. And watch what happens there at the front. Vingegaard's still there. 2 guys I got to watch for. Yeah, Simon and Bernal were doing all the work. 3 riders dropped off, including Vingegaard from the front group. Yates is done. Roglic is still here. He's got Hindley protecting him. 5.9. I'm going to be going solo pretty soon and putting the pressure on. It's out to 55 seconds as Pogačar attacked. Bernal. No, he's done. No, that's Simon. So Bernal has a little bit left. Give me 100.
I'll make a big effort on the relay.
Only 5 kilometers left for the man in front.
Remember, I have multiple minute cushion.
Victories far.
It does ease off at the top, so we gotta watch out for that. But Vingegaard doing the work. And Pogačar's not a threat at 18 seconds. What is a threat is blowing up and losing a lot of time, so sitting on right now while we're close makes a lot of sense for me. Half a minute ahead of Roglic. But these are the only 2 threats. One I'm following, and the other is just 14 seconds ahead. 3K. Backing off.
Try to manage things.
We've caught Pogačar, but I need to manage. There they go. Vlasov, half minute down. 40 seconds to Roglic. I should be going wide here, but so be it. I don't want to lose. Accelerating a little bit through here. It's getting easier now. At 20 kilometers. We're a minute behind Pogačar. But I have a 2-minute advantage over him in the GC at this point, so it's looking like he's going to gain a solid chunk of time today. But we're going to be able to make at least a little push here in this last kilometer. Trying to speed up.
A prestigious victory indeed.
Reduce speed a bit.
Pogačar wins. Oh, this game and its whole, you can't hit a button and do something we don't expect you to do. Third, I was a minute down. I don't think he gained a minute in the last kilometer. But we'll see. We'll see. He definitely gained time today. Today, he got the better of me. I lose a minute 4. I gain 4 seconds. He gains 10. So in the end, it's a minute 10 that Pogačar pulls back on the day. Vingegaard pulling back just mere seconds. And we gain time on everybody else. Probably our worst day in the saddle. And a fairly significant chunk of time, definitely, that we lost on this one. More than I would have expected. My critical mistake was on the penultimate climb, last 2K. Not realizing that Mohoric has been dropped and I have no one in my team assigned to setting tempo. The gap went out very quickly. Had I set that tempo in that last 2K, it would have been tiring to one of my 4 guys. It would have been tiring to Simon Yates. He would have recovered that on the descent quite quickly, quite easily. He would not have been dropped. And so we took over too late. We took over tempo too late. And that allowed that gap to add 5 minutes. Now, we pulled it back well over before the base of the climb. However, we never pulled it back all the way. And as a result, we were still chasing. And my guys still had to do the chase and then do the base of the climb before I take over. And Pogačar, well, didn't ride anywhere near as hard. He had a 6-minute advantage and rode pretty dang easy and saved his energy for the climb and started the climb with an advantage. And had 3 really good climbers in the group with him, working with him, which made it a lot easier for a good chunk of the climb. I was able to catch Vingegaard, sure, but I didn't have enough left in the tank to then go on and get Pogačar, who was not that far ahead of us. So close, but he took off as soon as we got close and used what he had left, and I had basically just taken off to cover that gap to Vingegaard. So we both had a similar use of energy. Mine was to cover the gap. He then just used it to reopen the gap. With 2 sprint stages left, we can count out the KOM. It's done. Bilbao has won by 6 points over Moss. Wow, that got a lot closer. I move up into second in the points classification, but Philipsen is more than 100 ahead. Stage 20, a simple circuit with a few climbs, changing it up a little bit at the end on the way to the finish line.
Today's result is most unsatisfactory. If things
Phillipson takes another win. Adam Yates, Simon Yates, 10th and 11th. There were time losses. Sprinters, Groves, Matthews, Kung, Mohoric, all losing time today, amazingly. But our 4 GC guys, unaffected. No change in the top of the standings. Bell lap, Champs-Élysées. It's the Champs-Élysées. I can't skip this one, right? Getting in position is going to be tough, though. We're trying to move up. I've had Kung and Mohoric doing the work all day long. Now I've got Matthews and Groves coming forward, trying to set a 100% tempo. But getting through the field is tricky. Other teams, the last breakaway rider, Geshka, comes around as we make our final lap here.
Okay, I'll consume a feed.
And assigning everyone to ride 110, going backwards, such as the tempo. I don't know, going flat out, I was going slow. Benton backs off. 4K. I'm going to set the tempo, I guess. I'm going to attack. I'm going to attack the climb. I'm not going to win a sprint. Not with all these sprinters. But I'm going to catch these guys out right here, right now. Gel up. Gain 10 seconds. 12 seconds. Get around this final corner. 1K. There's gel done. And sprint as hard as I can. 13 seconds ahead. Are we going to win at the Champs-Élysées? They're coming fast. They're coming hard. 6 seconds. 5 seconds. I think I'm going to get swept at the line. I'm not. Snuck away. And we win at the Champs-Élysées. As the sun tries to slice my throat. I was trying to get my teammates to provide me a lead out, but when they didn't, I knew I wasn't going to win a sprint against the sprinters, so I used that little hill to gain separation.
He succeeded in avoiding all the
coming out from under the tunnel. Win the young rider, win the team.
Congratulations to you.
Is it 3 stages? 4 stages?
The outsiders, you managed to beat the favorites. Well done for this win.
All right, folks. That is victory confirmed and face going all crazy. Lights playing tricks on me. Anyway, we have won the race by about a minute over Pogačar, 3.5 over Vingegaard, Roglic 9, Evenepoel 5th, Yates gets 6th, Bernal 8th, and Simon Yates 10th, with Bilbao and Bardet in the middle of that. Vlasov, Carapaz, Carlos Rodriguez, and Landa. Mohoric was 24th overall. I think that's actually worth a couple of points in this race. Kung was 35th, Matthews was 40th, Groves was 77th. Huge time gaps, of course. I mean, it's the Tour de France. Bilbao has won the KOM. Philipson wins the points classification. I win the points on this last stage, but I'm still 150 down. Young rider was mine. Only 3 riders within an hour. Team classification, we do get by half an hour. Champson does win the combativity, and that is that for this tour, this season. It's going to wrap this series up in just a second, but let's check in on some things. First off, 1,330 points, which eclipsed what I did last year. Even though this year is not quite done, there's a few races still to go, but not much after this one. Team ranking, 2,500, almost 800 ahead of Visma Lab. Should be enough to see that out and win that overall, but I'm not going to bother finishing this season. But what I am going to check in on is what have I done as a rider. Flat rating, we won a flat stage, so 505, that's a 74. Sprint, we get a point there, so that's a point for each of those, including the acceleration. Hills, win the yellow jersey, get a point for that. I'm up to an 80. Medium mountain 83, mountain 83 for winning the Tour de France, and resistance in 82. So big pluses, now an 82.9 overall. I think I'm still slightly lower rated than Vingegaard, just a little bit behind him. Pogačar maybe as well. I'm definitely ahead of Roglic now, if I wasn't already. That was it, folks. We pulled it off. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I've Tried the Tour de France game twice in the last 3 years prior to this year. First time, loved elements of it, hated it. Hated the execution. It was really freaking hard to figure out how to make it work on PC. Very much a console game ported to PC. Once you figure out the ins and outs and the chaos of that, once you get beyond that, on the second try last year, had a lot more fun with it. But last year was still a quick series. And this year is the first time we've gone through to the end. I did play on the standard difficulty. The big thing for next year will be to turn it up a notch. I like this mode though. I like the individual cyclist because Pro Cycling Manager is a game I love. The individual, the Pro Cyclist, is a mode that's largely broken. I enjoy this one. I enjoy the riding firsthand, and I don't like switching riders based on scenario much at all. So I'm not a fan of the team mode of this game. I'm a fan of the individual cyclist mode. And in Pro Cycling Manager, I'm a fan of the team mode and not so much the individual one. And so for me, it provides me the perfect blend of the two alternating series, and we'll definitely be back next year turning the difficulty up a notch. That's going to do it for this one and this series. Thanks for being here. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.